Hey there, guys. So, in today's episode, I want to bring to your attention and kind of walk you through one of the most illuminating brand storylines that's happening right now as we speak. And of course, I'm talking about Apple becoming a $3 trillion company and a $3 trillion brand, which is pretty unusual, unparalleled. I mean, it's not every day that you run into something like this. And what's unique about Apple becoming a $3 trillion company is that if Apple were to be a country, okay, they would be probably the number, just based on their market cap, they'd be, you'd be looking at them being like the number, let's see, probably the number five or the number six, um, potentially number seven or eight. But still, like a top 10 country in the world based on their economic, their financial clout. And this is just a private company. They are not a country. uh, but they are literally sitting on a whole lot more money, on a whole lot more cash, a whole lot more economic output, economic value than most countries are able to output in a year. And it's pretty wild, pretty unusual. And so that's what I wanted you guys to be aware of, and so that you start thinking about this. And there are some lessons here that you can draw for your own business, whether you are in e-commerce, you're in info products, you are in software as a service, or you're doing some other kind of product based brand. There are a lot of lessons. And Apple is in a lot of industries, like they're in the music industry, they're in the computer industry, they're in the streaming industry, in the TV industry, they are in the computer industry. So they've got a lot of tricks up their sleeves. They're not a one-trick pony. And that's a big part of why they've been so successful. So um, just some facts, right? Their market capitalization now is like $3.2 trillion. That's unbelievable. And their stock price is around $210 a share. And they've been growing like crazy since 2009, since the last major recession. And in that time, their stock is up like an unbelievable amount. Like if you had invested in Apple stock around the year 2009 and you'd simply held to your stock since then, you'd probably have done so much better than not just the majority of stock market investors the world over, but most likely than even investing in a lot of high growth private companies, which is really mind boggling. It's really rare for a public company that's publicly traded in the public stock markets to outperform on a scale that, on this kind of scale that Apple has done. And I would want to look at like the likes of Amazon, the likes of Nvidia, which has been popping up big. Those are the companies that you would have to look at if you wanted to find a competitor that's done nearly as well. But the majority of other companies are not going to be anywhere near that. This is a pretty rare accomplishment. And so I kind of wanted to bring this success story to your guys' attention, just so you guys understand just what's possible with your brand, and maybe copy some of the moves that Apple has made. Now, when Tim Cook took over some years ago from Steve Jobs, I personally didn't think he would be able to steer Apple to the kind of success that he's actually been able to steer them to. But I think there are a lot of really good trends that have been going, and moves that have been going Apple's way. They've managed to keep innovating on the big success of the iPhone, which Steve Jobs gave them. So Tim Cook has come out with other models on the iPhone from where the iPhone was when Steve Jobs left, um, when he passed away, unfortunately, to now. They've continued to come out with new iPhone models, but these are not everyday iPhone releases. These are like breakthrough, right? Kind of in keeping with the tradition of the iPhone from its inception, where it was an unusual breakthrough product. And that's what you're seeing is each new iteration of the iPhone picks some new kind of processing advance, some new technology, whether in cameras, videography, sound, you know, and processing power, things like that. There's always something cutting edge. And this has kept competitors like Huawei and Samsung and the Android market kind of at bay. And it's made the iPhone still probably the top brand in terms of smartphones. And so the iPhone actually accounts for something like 59% of Apple's revenue to this day, which is huge. And another 20% or so is from services. And then you have Macintosh, Mac, wearable devices, and all other kinds of gadgets and things like that, accounting for, and some other stuff, accounting for the rest of their revenue. But the iPhone is a big seller for them. So, some of the things you can do is you want to pay attention to why Apple has been able to sell so well. And part of it is they're a unique brand. They are not a commodity, right? And they are increasingly seen as a luxury brand. And there's a lot of pricing power with that kind of thing, which means buyers are going to be willing to pay a premium because they want the iPhone or the Apple product, not a computer, not a wearable gadget. So if all you're doing is you're just selling another e-commerce offer, like that's not gonna lead you to this kind of breakout success. You wanna tap into that, being a unique marquee brand where you're irreplaceable. If they want the original thing, then they have to pay the premium price, Don't just play as an everyday commodity brand. And Apple has moved with the times. Like they're sitting on an enormous amount of data. They understand the relevance of data. You look at their services like iTunes, the Apple Store, the App Store. All these kinds of things are built on them leveraging data in a similar way to how Google and Facebook do it, which is you want to kind of collect a lot of data, aggregate it, understand it, and then leverage it to deliver these digital services and products that are highly, highly valuable. But they are so highly valuable in large part because of the data that they use to tailor the product experience. So that's what makes Apple a technology company as much as it is a fashion or luxury brand company. Like I've said in the past that, Apple is not just a tech company. They are like a fashion luxury brand company that also uses technology. But them understanding that this technology, this data is so fundamental, and them leveraging it and using it in a smart way, similar to how Google and Amazon and Facebook do it, is what makes them like this hybrid luxury and technology company. So there's a lot there that you can dig into, and it's a story that you guys should absolutely pay attention to and look into, and actually break it down for yourself, how they've been able to become just so successful with their brand and to be able to be a $3 trillion company. Now, if you need some resources to help you grow your business, you can grab my free downloads. The links will be in the description.